What has 4 legs, 2 arms, and hair all over? I'm RK, and technically we are all half centaur. Does that mean horses are also half centaur, or like 3/4 centaur? Either way, it's culturally effed. Hi, Rusty here. Today's episode of Culturally Effed is brought to you by Furry Amino. It's the fastest growing social network just for furries. It's a newsfeed of furry fan content, artwork, fursuit pics, chats, polls, challenges, tutorials, videos, GIFs, and good company. Join a chat, follow me, Rusty Shacklefur, follow other cool people. Reply and comment and post on our Culturally Effed feed, exclusive to Furry Amino. I've been Rusty, now to the real episode. I'm going to take you on a tour of everything to do with centaurs. I'm a rustar. Half rabbit, half horse, half raccoon, half a bunch of other things. It adds up to like 800%, because I'm 800% rust. Centaurs were first made popular in ancient Greek myth. They are the children of Centaurus. You remember one of the centaurs with the constellation that we discussed in this episode? Though there are other origin stories that centaurs were created by Ixion and Nephil, or by Apollo and Stilbe, or by Zeus. Centaurs were said to have lived in these regions of Magnesia and Mount Pelion in Thessaly, the Pholoi oak forest in Elis, and the Malayan Peninsula in southern Laconia. A tribe of horned centaurs also lived in Cyprus. Zeus named the Lamian Phares, 12 rustic daimons of the Lamos River, to guard the infant Dionysus, protecting him from the machinations of Hera. Angry, Hera transformed the guardians into ox-horned centaurs. The Lamian Phares later would accompany Dionysus in future battles. Centaurs were well known for their warmongering. They were said to have carried off the women of Lapith. In this myth and many myths, they represent mankind's primal appetites versus civilized behavior. They were often described in the same manner as wild, untamed horses. The Lapiths ultimately won, though. When the Spanish first encountered the native Central Americans, Bernal Diaz del Castillo reported that the Aztecs had first seen mounted cavalry as being one complete entity, at least until the Spaniards dismounted. The most common theory holds that the idea of centaurs came from the first reaction of a similar non-riding culture to nomads who were mounted on horses. The theory suggests that riders would appear as half man, half animal. Think of the first reaction between the peaceful sheep worshippers in Game of Thrones would have had to an attack by the mounted Dothraki. I'm the centaur of attention.
This new look is great, Rusty. I think you can really get around with something like this.
Yeah. Plus I can carry a whole bunch of stuff now, too. I just need a couple saddlebags.
Even me.
Even you, but, taurs aren't free. If you were a centaur, you would weigh over 1,000 kilograms, or 2,200 pounds. And you would need to eat 25,000 calories a day to stay healthy. The average human male needs about 2,500 calories to stay healthy, so that's about 10 times what you currently eat as a human. You would also have trouble breathing with your puny human lungs, as your cardiovascular system would be huge. Your heart would have to be huge too to deliver all of the blood to all of the different parts of your body. There's an improbable research paper that outlines in detail the anatomy of the centaur, including digestive system, lungs, and their nervous system. How would a centaur perform a push-up? Human babies are unable to stand upright for up to 2 years after their birth, but horses are able to stand on all 4 legs mere minutes after being born. By age 3, horses are fully grown, but humans the same age are still learning simple phrases and in diapers. This was considered as far back as the historian and philosopher Lucretius. What nourishes a half-human, half-horse in the womb?
I don't know.
A placentaur. We find centaurs all over fantasy. In Harry Potter, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Chronicles of Narnia, Dungeons & Dragons, and the World of Warcraft, just to name a few. There's a webcomic about cowboys and centaurs falling in love in the Old West called Hot Blood. Philip Jose Farmer's World of Tears series from 1965 includes centaurs called half-horses, or Hoi Centauri. His creations address several of the metabolic problems of such creatures. How could the human mouth and nose intake sufficient air to sustain both itself and the horse body? And similarly, how could the human ingest sufficient food to sustain both halves? Also in Dungeons & Dragons, they have a Wemmick, which is a cat-taur in their fantasy setting, which is inspired by the constellation Sagittarius. In the art world of DeviantArt and Furfinity, centaurs have become more generalized and include hybridization with every other species. Commonly referred to as taurs, they can be large cats, foxes, skunks, or anything else. Would that make a mermaid like a fish taur? Chakats are like anthro-animals with feral bottom halves, so their torso and arms are more human, with their face and lower bodies being that of their animals. Chakats and other taurs have their origins in science fiction as space colonizers who have adapted to changing gravities between worlds and space travel. The John C. Hodges Library at the University of Tennessee holds a permanent exhibit of a centaur from Volos. The exhibit, made by sculptor Bill Willers, is combining a study human skeleton with the skeleton of a Shetland pony and is entitled "Do You Believe in Centaurs?" It was meant to help make students more critically aware of the media that's provided to them. Another exhibit by Willers is now on long-term display at the International Wildlife Museum in Tucson, Arizona. The full mount skeleton of a centaur built by Skulls Unlimited International is on display along with several other fabled creatures, including the Cyclops, Unicorn, and Griffin. So that's just about everything to do with centaurs, taurs, and everything else in that category. Or is it? Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything. I've been your host, RK. Thanks for watching, and keep your better half close. Hi, I'm Rusty Shacklefur, and there was a fact in that video that I know they got wrong, so I'm going to write about it angrily in the comments, and I hope you do too. By the way, the people who screwed that up are on this list. And if you don't want them to screw up so often, subscribe to us on Patreon, subscribe to us on YouTube, check us out on Twitter and all the stuff, and send us all the angry tweets until we get everything right. Okay, are we done?